Chapter 55 of Married Thrice to Salted Fish. When the emperor was seriously ill, the Ministry of Rites was already preparing for his funeral. Unexpectedly, Chu Zhengde changed his prescription, and after drinking it, even before 2 days had passed, his condition improved and the emperor woke up. The current emperor was without fault but also without merit. He had been on the throne for more than 20 years but had yet to make any great achievements. But neither has he dissipated the family fortune. He, in his mediocre manner, guarded the country left by his ancestors. Although he was the suspicious sort, he was diligent in state affairs. As soon as he woke up, he summoned the crown prince to ask him about the situation of the court while he had been ill. There weren't any matters worth noting, only Gu Fuzhao's matter was quite troublesome. Before the emperor even woke up, Shaocheng had already been pressured into withdrawing the Tianji camp guards beside Gu Fuzhao. However, the military officers still refused to stop. After learning that the emperor had awoken, one after another, they filed petitions asking for an audience. Lying on the dragon bed, the emperor flung Wu Gugong's memorial at Shaocheng's feet. "Look at what you have done." "I fail to see what I have done wrong." Shaocheng looked ahead and said stubbornly, "There is plenty about Gu Fuzhao to be suspicious. If we are unable to find out the truth, how could we possibly let him roam free in the capital? Father, could it be that you really trust him?" The emperor said angrily, "You still don't know what you have done wrong." Shaocheng knelt down and said, "I ask my imperial father to make clear to me my fault." The emperor shook his head. You are still too young." When it came to being suspicious, the emperor wasn't any better than Shaocheng. But in any case, having sat on the throne for so long, he was well versed in the art of checks and balances. In everything, one must put the general interest first. That Gu Fuzhao was suspicious was true, but they were a long time away from having a falling out with Gu Fuzhao. Although Gu Fuzhao was physically in the capital, he remained the heart of the army officers and the 300,000 strong army in Yongliang. Apart from him, the Dayu could never find another god of war who was victorious in every battle. The Dayu and Shishya have been at war for so many years, almost emptying the country's coffers. Countless soldiers have died in battle. In the face of hostilities in the northwest, all others had to be set aside. Even if Gu Fuzhao was dubious and arrogant, as long as he can win battles, it wasn't time to move against him. After matters in the northwest was settled, it would then be time to settle accounts with him, turning over old accounts one by one. Was there any fear of him not being convicted? The emperor saw through people clearly. He knew that Shaocheng's methods were tough, unwilling to admit defeat, haughty and arrogant. When he ascends the throne in the future, he would never take the road of a wise monarch, convincing people with virtue and readily accepting good advice. Even if he could rule the world strictly, once he loses the heart of the generals, even if there were thousands of troops, what would be the use? The emperor's illness had already left him mentally and physically exhausted. After scolding Shaocheng a bit, he couldn't get his spirits up again. He called out, "Chenger." Shaocheng's eyes narrowed. He couldn't remember the last time the emperor called him that. "Carefully ponder the hearts of the people," the emperor said. "Other people's as well as your own." The human heart was nothing but the most useless thing in the world. Shaocheng lowered his head and sneered silently. Thank you, Imperial Father, for your guidance. Shui Ying said, Your Majesty, General Gu is here. The Emperor summoned all his willpower to hang on and said, Let him in. Cheng'er, you stay. You will join me in placating Gu Fuzhao. Shaocheng took a deep breath. Yes, father. After a while, Gu Fuzhao, led in by the eunuch, walked into the hall. The tall and lofty man was dressed in military uniform, a dark red cloak behind him, a chill surrounding his body. Gu Fuzhao was about to kneel and salute when the emperor smiled and said, There is no need for I Ching to be so polite. Shui Ying, give him a seat. Gu Fuzhao said, Thank you, Your Majesty. Seeing the emperor's face, Gu Fuzhao had a guess as to the reason why the emperor, instead of letting him talk over candlelight to Lin Chingyu, insisted on calling him into the palace in the middle of the night. The emperor first asked about his health. Learning that the residual poison had been cleared, he seemed even more gratified. He then continued on to mention the matter of the guards from Tianji camp, saying that the crown prince's original intention had been to protect him. Who would have thought that it would attract the dissatisfaction of the military officers? This is the first time the crown prince has been put in charge of the country. It is inevitable that there would be matters he would be negligent of. Now that the matter is settled, I trust that I Ching will reassure the military officers. The emperor's remarks sounded as though he was showing care for his subject, when in fact he was protecting his son. He had no choice but to admit that ginger truly does get spicier as it gets older. Gu Fuzhao nodded lightly, speaking reservedly, voice deep. This official understands. The emperor cupped twice, took the tea handed by Shaocheng, and said, Speaking of which, I Ching is already 30. This official is 31 this year. Gu Fuzhao had a bad premonition. Generally speaking, after being asked one's age, one is usually urged to marriage. The emperor smiled and said, 31. When I was your age, I already had several princes. I have kept you in the northwest and delayed your marriage. Even the words he used to urge him to marry was exactly the same as he had expected. Gu Fuzhao said, The situation in the northwest is unstable. This official has no intention of settling down for now. You mustn't say that. With you out on expeditions throughout the year, there is no one left at home. The emperor thought about it and said, My seventh princess at the prime of her youth. What do you think, I Ching? Shaocheng quickly understood the emperor's intentions. By betrothing the princess to Gu Fuzhao, firstly, it could appease the military officials and let them know that Dayu placed great importance on General Gu. Secondly, placing a wife beside Gu Fuzhao was much more useful than a guard. Shaocheng said with a half-smiling smile, To tell father the truth, seventh sister has admired General Gu for a long time. She will definitely not object to this marriage. Gu Fuzhao flat out refused. I appreciate the seventh princess's admiration, but this official already has someone he likes. Tell me, who is the young lady? I can sanction your marriage. And here we fucking go again. If you like giving away marriages so much, then stop being the emperor. You can go and have a career change and be a matchmaker. Gu Fuzhao said, Then I don't have one. Xiaocheng said coldly. Gu Fuzhao, do you think this some trifling matter? If you say there is, then there is, and if there is none, then there is none. The emperor scolded, Crown Prince. He then said gently, since there is no one, I will have you and the seventh prince meet another day. If you two cannot agree to a bond, I will ask the empress to let you choose one that you like among the noble ladies. No matter which one you like, I will support you. Gu Fuzhao was about to refuse once more, but the emperor coughed, not giving him a chance to speak. I'm tired. I Ching should withdraw. The emperor's condition had taken a turn for the better. After a few days of recuperation, he was able to get up and sit. Chu Zhengde had taken the lead in this matter. The emperor wished to reward him greatly, but Chu Zhengde told the emperor that he had not been the one to prepare the new prescription. Rather, it was made by the 7th rank imperial physician Lin Qingyu. Well, at least glad he's not taking the credit for Lin Qingyu. The emperor seemed to have an impression of this name. He asked, is he the male wife who came up with the prescription for the epidemic? Chu Zhengde said, it is he. The emperor has been ill for so long. Someone who was able to treat him must be a rare talent. Who cares whether he was a male wife or not? Then deliver my word. Lin Qingyu is to be promoted to 5th grade imperial physician. In the Dayu, the highest position in the imperial hospital was that of a 4th grade Yanpan, followed by the 5th grade Yanpan and other 5th grade imperial physicians. Lin Qingyu had saved the emperor's life and he directly rose 3 ranks. He was already on equal footing with Chu Zhengde. His official position was equivalent to that of imperial censor. When Lin Qingyu went to the emperor's sleeping quarters to thank him, a male attendant was accompanying the emperor. The attendant was only 16 or 17 years old and he was as slender as a woman. Pedo. Seeing him sitting at the emperor's feet, his head resting on the emperor's lap, appearing lovely and well behaved, it seemed he was more of a pet. When the emperor saw Lin Qingyu, he hesitated. I have seen you before? If he had seen such a face, how could he have no impression at all? Lin Qingyu said, half a year ago, this official was fortunate enough to have laid eyes on His Majesty. The emperor looked at him for a long time and said, from now on, you and Chu Zhengde together will attend to me. Ugh, this freaking pedo. I told you a couple of chapters ago, right? Like, this guy is also on my hit list. This is the reason. To attend to the emperor meant that he would have to go with Chu Zhengde to diagnose the emperor's pulse, administer acupuncture, and prescribe prescriptions every day. He had in effect become part of the emperor's inner circle. But when he thought of the look in the emperor's eyes, Lin Qingyu wished that Chu Zhengde had simply taken the credit for himself. Yeah, me too. It was a pity that although the old fogey had different political views from his own, he was also a very principled person and disbanded, taking away credit for the younger generation. At the end of the day's shift, Lin Qingyu walked out of the imperial hospital and saw Gu Fuzhao standing against the palace wall, his arms folded, his face gloomy as his head bowed, thinking who knows what. General? Gu Fuzhao stood up straight and smiled. Imperial Physician Lin. Lin Qingyu asked, why is the general here? The empress invited me into the palace to enjoy the flowers. After the viewing, I decided to drop by the Imperial Hospital to pick up Imperial Physician Len from work. Why was the empress suddenly inviting Gu Fuzhao to enjoy the flowers? The last time she invited someone to enjoy the flowers was when she was choosing a concubine for Shao Cheng. The two waved back the eunuch who had come to lead the way. They walked to a place where there was no one else. Gu Fuzhao hesitated. Qingyu? What? Gu Fuzhao took a deep breath and asked in a low voice, Will you be willing to marry me? Second marriage. Lin Qingyu paused. What? Gu Fuzhao put his hands together and put it before his forehead. Please do me this favor. Take me as your wife. Lin Qingyu looked at him, considering. Without any hesitation, he said, No. Gu Fuzhao had already guessed that Lin Qingyu would refuse. However, he still choked and asked, unwilling to give up, Why not? Lin Qingyu was completely perplexed. Why should I marry you? Gu Fuzhao tried to brainwash him. I took you as my wife once. Don't you want to take me as your wife now and get back your dignity as a man? I don't really want to. Gu Fuzhao seemed to don on a mask of suffering. But if you don't marry me, the emperor is going to bestow a marriage upon me again. Lin Qingyu frowned. Again? Marriage? Gu Fuzhao told Lin Qingyu that the emperor wanted to betroth the seventh princess to him. It turned out that the flower viewing the empress had arranged today was to set up a meeting between him and the seventh princess. Lin Qingyu smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Isn't this good? You're not gay. That is, you like women. The seventh princess has the countenance of a flower, with a face like the moon, gentle and concentrate, and of golden branches and jade leaves as well. She is more than your equal. That won't work, Gu Fuzhao said solemnly. My actual age is only 18. In my hometown, men can't get married until they are at least 22. If that's the case, why are you willing to marry me again? Gu Fuzhao smiled and said, If it's you, even an early marriage and early childbirth is nothing. Just let the law punish me. I'm fine with it. Lin Qingyu's expression grew rather uneasy. Gu Fuzhao climbed up the pole. Imperial Physician Lin, think about it. Wouldn't taking the god of war as your wife afford you more respect? No, I won't marry you, Lin Qingyu said coolly. General Gu is already dead, his soul having gone to who knows where. You have occupied his body. Refusing to continue his glory as god of war is already bad enough. Now you want him to have to shoulder the title of male wife? I don't have much of a choice either. Gu Fuzhao was so dejected he began to resort to sophistry. You saved the emperor. Now he's forcing a marriage on me. You should be responsible for me. Lin Qingyu sneered. I can't believe you have the face to say that. If I hadn't saved the emperor and allowed Shao Cheng to smoothly ascend the throne, your situation might even be sought over now. Gu Fuzhao sighed. Alright, then go do your own thing. Don't worry about me. I won't stress you out even more. It's okay. I can find a way to solve this myself. I'm very good. Lin Qingyu frowned. Can you not use General Gu's face to make such a pained expression? When a man takes on a household, he is also made to put on makeup, put on a bride's headdress and tasseled cape. If you were still Lu Wancheng, it would have been fine, But now you are Gu Fuzhao, using General Gu's body to put on makeup, painting a Hodian between your brows. Lin Yu imagined the scene, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. I'm afraid that once I lift the veil, I will be subjected to a nightmare. No, don't do our General Gu that bad. Gu Fuzhao was startled. He never imagined that Lin Yu would reject him not because he wasn't gay or because two men marrying was against the will of heaven, but because a wife should be a virtuous person, you are too lazy, or any other such reasonable objections. Rather, it was because he thought him wearing a bridal attire with a Hodian on his forehead would look ugly. Gu Fuzhao savored Lin Yu's words and probed carefully. You don't want to take a wife, but are you willing to marry me again? Lin Yu looked pensive. Perhaps there are still other ways. Gu Fuzhao met his eyes that concealed excitement. He knew that the big beauty was going to do something bad again. Tonight, come to my house, Lin Yu said. Ooh, who are we poisoning now? I hope it's the Crown Prince.